So on yesterday's episode of Patriots Today, we talked about how Caleb Williams might be a New England Patriot. And today we're talking about how North Carolina quarterback Drake Maye might be a Patriot. And quite frankly, today feels more realistic than yesterday does. I'm Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. Welcome to the show. And the reason we're talking about this is, one, Drake Maye is officially declared. Pete Thamel had the news that Drake Maye has told ESPN that he is foregoing the remainder of his eligibility at UNC to declare for the NFL draft. That includes the bowl game, by the way. He will not play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, so Drake Maye is straight into draft prep here. And he is a strong contender to be obviously a top 2 or 3 pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick, depending on what happens. Obviously, this was expected, but now it's official. Technically, Caleb Williams is not officially declared, but he's skipping USC's bowl game, so that's as close to official as it gets. But obviously for New England, sitting in that number 2 pick right now, Drake Maye is a very, very real possibility, and these quarterbacks are headlining this class right now. Maye, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels continues to rise up boards as he went top 5 in a mock that we're going to talk about here in a sec. But let's talk about the possibility of landing Drake Maye in New England. ESPN dropped their latest mock draft. Matt Miller did this one. And they do have New England selecting the North Carolina quarterback with that number 2 overall pick. You look at the top 5 that Miller put together: Caleb Williams to Chicago at number 1, Drake Maye to New England at number 2, Arizona gets Marvin Harrison Jr. 3rd, Jaden Daniels, the LSU quarterback, gosh, he keeps rising, to the Giants at 4, and Olu Fashanu at number 5. I do just want to verbally mention, too, they do their mock drafts based on inverse Super Bowl betting odds, not current draft order, which I personally think is stupid, but that's how ESPN does it. Based on actual draft order, I think the Giants are picking 7th actually right now, but that is how ESPN does their mocks. Do you want Drake Maye to be a Patriot? Type Y for yes, type in for no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So if you get hit with the YouTube ad break right now, scroll on down to the pinned comment, type Y for yes, type in for no regarding Drake Maye in New England. Once you do, scroll back up. Video should be back and playing. We absolutely love Drake Maye here at Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Rolly and I have been talking about him for a couple months now, it feels like, and I just think he would be a great fit. I mean, we've talked about the tools he has. We've talked about the Patriots' need for a quarterback, and obviously if he's just sitting there at number 2 and you don't have to trade up for him, that's even better, whereas with Caleb Williams, if he goes number 1 and you really like him, you'd have to trade up for him. Matt Miller of ESPN had this to say about his selection of Maye to New England in this mock. He says, much like Chicago, the Patriots need to start over at quarterback, especially because the entire organization could reset this offseason. Mac Jones' 5th-year option decision is also coming this offseason, and after he was benched for Bailey Zappe, all signs point toward a new QB1 in New England for 2024. By the way, side note, Mac Jones is not getting his 5th-year option. Maye is a powerful thrower at 6'4", 230, with the arm talent to stretch the field vertically and the mobility to threaten on the ground. There are times his ball placement can be inconsistent, but his supporting cast at North Carolina did him few favors there. Maye, who is declaring for the draft, has the traits of a true franchise quarterback. And look, we hate using like the cliche QB comps. I think it can be lazy sometimes, but he really does look like Justin Herbert. Like, the frame looks the same. The motion is very similar. They both have strong arms. They're both mobile. I actually think Maye might be a tick quicker than Herbert on his feet. Herbert probably has a tick stronger arm, but they are very, very similar. And Maye's been very productive with, like Matt Miller said, not bad supporting cast, but certainly not great either. The numbers did go down just a bit this season, but that Carolina team kind of just collapsed late in the year. A lot of drops this year. It was a big problem all season long. The point is, he's put together 2 years of excellent football at North Carolina, and I think you could feel very confident in drafting him at number 2 or even number 1 overall if you are the New England Patriots, who desperately need a quarterback like we've mentioned. All right, guys, we're creeping closer to 7,000 subscribers. I told you I'd love to get there by Christmas Day. You got what, just under 2 weeks, 13 days, 188 subs away. More draft content to come. Hit that sub button. The latest Patriots news, rumors, draft coverage, free agency. We're going to have it all covered here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. All right, coming up, we got more on Drake Maye. We'll bring in Nick Rohloff, our Patriots superfan and Tar Heels superfan as well, to dive into him a little bit more. But first, let's talk about our sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app out there. It's DFS made easy, daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is pick 2 to 6 players on any given entry, and if they will go for more or less than their stat projections from Prize Picks. So, keeping it simple here, 2-player entry, 2 quarterbacks. Give me the more on Lamar Jackson's passing yards this week. Same with Josh Allen. The Bills are starting to cook. 10 to win 30 there. You can win up to 25 times your money on a 6-player entry and everything else in between. 3, 4, 5 players, depending on how it goes. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. They also have an injury reboot policy. If you have a player that gets hurt in the first half of a game, say it's a 3 or 4-player entry all the way up to 6, they will just reboot that player. And if it's a 5-player entry, it'll turn to a 4-player entry, etc. They don't want you to lose out on your money because someone suffered an injury early in a game. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of daily fantasy apps do that. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use our code CLNS to get started today. Okay, our take. If you get the number 2 pick, I just think you take Drake Maye. You know, again, we talked about this yesterday. If you're absolutely in love with Caleb Williams and you think he's significantly better than Drake Maye, then sure, you have to consider trading it for number 1. And by the way, if that's reversed, if you absolutely are in love with Drake Maye and think he's much better than Caleb Williams, you still have to consider trading up to number 1, because I don't think it's completely a foregone conclusion, Rolly, that Caleb Williams will be the top pick. Now, I think he's favored to go there, but I don't think it's going to be unanimous among the 32 NFL teams that Caleb Williams is the top pick this year. I think it might be like 20 to 12, 22 to 10 or something like that, but it wouldn't shock me if one of these QB-needy teams liked Maye better.
I mean, when you just think about one of the best, if not the best, NFL draft gurus right now in Dane Brugler for The Athletic, well, he actually already has Drake Maye as his number 1 quarterback. He still expects Caleb Williams to go number 1, but he has Maye as his number 1 guy out of any draft prospect. That even includes Marvin Harrison Jr. and number 1 amongst quarterbacks as well. So if Dane Brugler thinks it, you're definitely going to expect some NFL executives to believe that as well. And when you think of Caleb Williams versus Drake Maye, like, the off-the-field stuff with Caleb, the interesting comments to the media. I know a lot of people, I don't know if it actually does matter, and to me it honestly doesn't, but the painting on the fingernails and the crying with his parents after a loss, like, I don't really think that matters, honestly, when it comes to the NFL, but some people may think differently than I do, and Maye seems more stable, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the Williams, like, the stuff, when we say off the field, it's like to our knowledge, he's never been in any trouble or anything like that. Like, we're not saying that, but I think it's more of like, okay, can he handle scrutiny of a major media city? Like Chicago, great example. Quarterbacks have not had a lot of success there historically. Can he go in there, potentially replace Justin Fields, who is loved by that fan base, and handle potential scrutiny? Because that would absolutely come with the territory. So that's kind of what Rolly's talking about when we bring that up, and that's absolutely something that these teams are going to look into. Obviously, when you think of other quarterback-needy teams, we don't think Arizona's going to draft a quarterback. They have Kyler Murray. That could change, obviously. Does Washington get in the sweepstakes? We'll see what they decide on fellow Tar Heel Sam Howell. Bears obviously pick again there. You got the Giants picking a little bit later. I think the Raiders, Rolly, has got to be a team that's going to be looking to trade up potentially. So, again, if you're New England and one of these 2 quarterbacks you like significantly more than the other, then yeah, you still have to consider going up to number 1. But again, if it's close, then you can just stay at 2 and, you know, draft Drake Maye or Caleb Williams, depending on where the other one goes, number 1 or not.
I mean, we have him here listed as 6'5", 220. It might be closer to 230, and I expect that weight to only go up as he continues to get in an NFL offseason program. So his weight at the draft will not be his weight come next September when real football starts happening. You mentioned the rocket arm, the mobility. He can do it all. And the nuances of Drake Maye is what makes him so special in our eyes and other people's eyes as well. We have hangs in the pocket as a pro for Maye, but one thing he does extremely well is drift away from pressure. He senses it coming, whether it be from the inside, the right, the left, and just will take a subtle couples of steps and movements to avoid some pressure and give him time to throw the football. And if you look at the elite quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Mahomes, the ones with the cannons on their arm, they can make the throws when they can't really step into it.
Yeah.
That's something Mac struggles with, where if he's on his back foot or he's got pressure in his face, he can't put a lot of zip on it. That's what his issues are. That's his main issue outside of his mental capacity right now. Drake Maye, he can be flat-footed. He can be off-platform and just use his arm to sling it down the field 25, 30 yards or in the intermediate with a clear zip on it. Drake Maye can do it all, and that's kind of what we've been echoing here, Harrison, is when, yes, we know that the NFL draft is a crapshoot, right? Like, a lot of the quarterbacks bust. But you do not see a quarterback with the physicality traits that Drake Maye show and have. They don't come around often. Just think of last year. Yeah, C.J. Stroud was there, but the presumptive number one pick, and who went number one, Bryce Young, he's not even as talented as Drake Maye. Drake would have went number one last year. So if he's there at 2 and you're picking 2, I know a lot of Patriots fans are going to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. and then maybe potentially trading up and drafting Penix or maybe Jane Daniels or someone like that. But I think Maye is so clear-cut ahead of everyone else at the quarterback department in this draft class when it comes to physical traits that you just have to take him if he's there at 2.
He's got the rare combination, Rolly, of traits, college production, and experience. 2-year starter. Like last year's draft, just evaluating it. Bryce Young, he did have the experience, but he didn't have the traits. 5'9", 5'10", less than 200 pounds, doesn't have the strongest arm. Stroud did have the experience. Good traits, but not Drake Maye level traits. Like, he's 6'3"-ish, but he's thinner, doesn't have a rocket arm, has a good arm. Anthony Richardson, all the traits you could ever want, not a ton of experience, not that productive. Like, he wasn't that good. Drake Maye has it all. He's been productive for 2 straight years. He's got the physical traits that you are looking for, and he's got experience as well. Sure, he's not a 3-year guy starter, but to me, if you get that 2+ years of college experience, I think that's enough. He checks all 3 boxes. Now, is that a guarantee he's going to hit in the NFL? No, but you look historically, it's a combination of traits and experience typically that works in the NFL level. There's a reason a guy like Brock Purdy has had success for the 49ers. Yes, it's about what he fell into in San Francisco, but the guy was a 5-year starter. Like, he played a lot of football. Drake Maye, sure, he doesn't have that, but 2 years is better than 1 that an Anthony Richardson has, for example. So I think Drake Maye checks all the boxes. I think he's got the mental makeup of being a franchise quarterback. And, again, if he's sitting there at number 2 and the Patriots have that pick, I think it's a no-brainer to draft him. Would you rather take a quarterback or take Marvin Harrison Jr.? Type QB for a quarterback, MHJ for Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think, even though it's obviously riskier at QB, you need the signal caller. You got 2 great options at the top of this draft. Take the quarterback, live with the results. There's some interesting free agent receivers you could target. You could take someone on day 2 as well at that position. So I'm typing my QB. You guys type QB or MHJ. All right, guys, appreciate everybody for tuning in to Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Rolly and I will be back tomorrow with more videos. Probably just 1 video tomorrow, then another one Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Until then, go Pats.